Let's talk now to Gnaka Lagoke, who's an assistant professor of African Studies at Lincoln University and who joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for coming on the programme. First off, World War I essentially started when the Austro-Hungarian Empire declared war on Serbia. It could have stayed a continental war, but instead more than 2 million Africans were pulled in as soldiers, workers and personnel. What led to their involvement?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question and for the opportunity. As we know, in the beginning of the 20th century, since the 19th century, Africa, the entire continent of Africa was under the colonial rule of the Europeans. And France, England, and Germany, they were enjoying the world power status or imperial nation status, and even Belgium and later on Portugal and Italy too. So the entire continent was divided into respective spheres of influence. So when the war started in Europe, it was understood that the Europeans wanted to do the war wherever they had colonies, and then the entire continent of Africa was going to be involved in World War I.
I'm also interested, it was made very clear that Germany's plan at the time when Germany had East Africa, well, this large part of what is now Rwanda, Tanzania and Burundi, Germany wanted to divert Allied forces to Africa. That was the plan, but how successful was that?
Now, of course, it could not be successful. As we know, with the Allies, we have France, Britain, and then Russia were like in alliance, and then Germany was fighting, and then on the continent of Africa, the Belgians, the Portuguese, the French, and the British, all of them, they came together, to fight and to defeat, the Germans. So when the Germans opened the hostilities on the East African coastline, and then the war was going to reach a different other region of Africa, and then in Togo, in Cameroon, in the southwest Germany, more than Namibia, then everywhere people were fighting. So it was not possible for the Germans to even pretend to win that war on the continent of Africa.
I'm interested because, the end of World War I for large parts of the Middle East led to a redrawing of the map. But for change in Africa, the end of the colonial empires didn't come with the end of World War I, despite 2 million soldiers going off to fight for their colonial masters. Why did it take so long for change to come in the end of these colonial empires for the continent of Africa?
Yeah, nice question. During World War I, when the Europeans, the French, the British, and then the Belgians and the Portuguese, when they were fighting against the Germans, they had only one goal, to withdraw the colonial map of Africa and to defeat the colonial empire of Germany in Africa. So then, of course, we can understand that after the defeat of the Germans, the victors, they took away from the Germans, their colonies, the Togoland, Cameroon, Southwest Germany, and many other territories. And then, of course, it is important to mention the 14 points of the American President Woodrow Wilson, who spoke about the right for self-determination of the colonized people. But of course, we have to wait for World War II, to see a glimpse of hope, for freedom, of the colonies of Africa. And then even if after World War II, we have to wait for more than 10 more years in order to see the first colony to become independent. It was in 1957, the Gold Coast, under the rule of Kwame Nkrumah.
Such a huge part of the war effort on both sides that is so often overlooked in the narrative of World War I. Thank you so much for your time. That is Gnaka Lagoke, an assistant professor of African Studies at Lincoln University. Thank you.